This is Jabba the Pod. Right, sons, and welcome to SYFY WIRE's Jabba the Pod, our weekly Star Wars podcast where we discuss and celebrate the movies, shows, books, comics, games, and everything else from the galaxy far, far away. Every generation has a legend, every legend has a podcast, and this is ours. I am your host, disgraced former Jedi and Force mystic Brian Silliman. Joining me are the greatest co-host in the galaxy, starting with former Force-sensitive Assassins Guild member turned droids rights activist Caitlin Bush.
Hello there.
And the man who lets us record on his starship, the smuggler with a not-so-secret heart of gold, captain of the Starbinger, Matt Romano.
Greetings.
It's no secret, we've already broken the fourth wall here. We're all in quarantine, like probably all of you listening. There's no point in pretending otherwise. There's no bit. There's no blue shadow virus or whatever.
We're just hanging out in our houses.
We're all at home, but the signal keeps going. But still with us is miraculously our protocol droid Y1RZZ Human Podcast Relations, aka Wires. How are you enjoying quarantine, Wires?
Indeed I am not, sir. It is just me alone keeping the Starbinger safe while you are all off in the real world, and I have lost track of time. I have watched Nomad Droids many times at this point.
Okay, well,
I don't think Wires is okay, you guys.
No, he does not sound okay. He's fine. He's keeping your ship safe, Matt.
I hope so. I mean,
yeah, it's good. Yeah, we'll see what we go back to.
Yeah.
Anyway, but keep trucking, Wires, and now it's time for some news on the march.
News on the march.
Okay, one thing. Okay, the first thing up is I missed something last week, and I had stopped checking for soundtracks for Clone Wars ever since we got that first little Bad Batch theme.
Oh,
And so I checked last night just on a whim under Kevin, and they're not putting it up front in the main store, so I checked Kevin Kiner. There is a full soundtrack for all 4 Bad Batch episodes on iTunes.
Oh my
right
God.
now. It's the
That's
whole
so exciting.
Episode, tracks from the whole arc.
I know what I'm listening to do today.
Yeah, so I grabbed that immediately. So that's there, and there's nothing. I didn't look. I don't think there's anything yet this morning, but we'll see because there is a new Ahsoka themey thing. She's had a theme before since the beginning of Clone Wars, but now there's a new one. I'm wondering if they're going to release that. We'll have to see. Yeah. In terms of other Star Wars news, there's a lot of real world news going on. So, Star Wars kind of took a back seat in that, but we're going to slide into this section. Some Jabba the Pod news is what we're going to do, because we had a very busy week. Even though we're all working from home, we were awash with bonus episodes this week, both of them interviews with 2 legends from the Clone Wars. Earlier this week, we talked to Matt Lanter, a.k.a. the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, and a couple days ago, just in time for her big return today, we talked to Ahsoka Tano, Ashley Eckstein.
You're listening to my Sky Guy Brian and my Sky Girl Caitlin on Jabba the Pod podcast.
Which is incredible. Like, what an amazing opportunity we had to talk to her. The fact that she came on during all this madness, like, and what a great interview. It's awesome.
Yeah, and Matt Lanter was very patient with our technical difficulties, and as was Ashley. So if you haven't checked out those bonus episodes, be sure to do so. Because we're about to return.
There's a third one on the way.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's not blow it yet. But we'll.
I'm not gonna say, but it's happened. It was a thing that happened.
But let's play a little snippet of Snips. Sorry, not sorry. Here's a little taste of our talk with Ashley Eckstein.
Captain Rex and the clones taught Ahsoka so much. It goes back to that line from the movie where she says, so if you're a captain and I'm a Jedi, then technically I outrank you, right? And, he says, well, in my book, experience outranks everything. And she says, well, I guess I better start getting some.
Okay, well, we are recording on Friday, March 20th, 2020, and that means there is a brand new episode of Season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Clone Wars saved. That's right. It's okay. I thought the hot take alarm went off there. That wasn't a hot take. It actually happened. But yeah, here's a hot take. It's like, sound it. Why not? Yeah, it's hot. Clone Wars saved. It's time for the return of Ahsoka. Of course, we're going to celebrate and discuss the Kark and Criff out of this episode. Now, there will be some hot new canon coming at us, and when there is, we'll fire off our trusty cannon. If we have hot takes along the way, which we may or may not have already had, we will sound the hot take alarm. And if anything really blew our minds, then we'll let loose with a seismic mind charge. Now, this episode is brand new, so definitely watch the episode before continuing to listen to or watch this.
There's a correct order. There's a correct order. I'm just going to say that literally every week.
Every week.
And as one commenter said on our last YouTube video, they said, give it a day or two, please, before spoiling us. In fairness, we had posted that 5 to 6 days after the episode, so we think that's enough time. And it's also pretty clear up front.
And also, we do give you a warning.
We give you a big spoiler warning.
Don't say we didn't warn you.
There's quite a lot of the show before we start saying, it's like, oh my God, Grievous kills Ahsoka. It's like, so...
we send in the spoiler train.
Yeah, we're being careful. But anyway, because we don't want you to be spoiled, we're going to help you out and want you to jump on our magical train of spoilers. And we're going to do the Strand cast and have been alone in my house for too long. And so, woo. We're going, yes. So, after such disarray, we're going to sound the spoiler klaxon. And then we're going to build the baby and not eat it and not hang it on a wall. The best scar belongs in the hands of this episode. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Punch it.
Begun. The Clone War has.
You're stuck with me, Sky Guy.
The Clone Wars 7.5, March 20th, 2020. The new episode hit Disney Plus early this morning. The title, Gone with a Trace. It's 24 minutes long, though I realized not really. The foreign dub credits at the end take up at least 2 minutes of the runtime.
They do.
I meant to bring that up last week because you were really excited that we're like, we got a 26-minute episode. It was like 5 minutes of French, Spanish.
I know. It's
German.
It's but it's good. It's part of it. That's all canon.
Yeah.
Those people work hard.
That's
so
right.
Anyway,
they do.
Written by Dave Filoni and Charles Murray. If I had to guess, I'd guess that Charles Murray wrote the original concept of at least the beginning of this arc with arc, not arch. It's not, he didn't bring an arch to Celebration, or did he? I don't know. Dave Filoni showed some concept art of rough animatics from this arc years ago, and it was going to be originally a young lad of Ahsoka's age, a possible love interest of sorts in this arc, and they've since, of course, changed it to the sisters that we meet.
We don't know that one of them isn't a love interest. Let me just say that.
That's virtue. It could still be a love interest. I'm just saying it's not this kid. It's not like Lux 2.0 or whoever that kid was going to be. Yeah. He's Lux, but now he's a mechanic. Anyway, Filoni himself may have done those changes to the script. I'm not sure. Directed by Saul Ruiz and Kyle Dunleavy. Now, Dunleavy, we've already had some work from him this season. He did the premiere. He did Bad Batch 1. He's also, and our favorite Sunny Day in the Void. Let's not forget that. Ruiz, he was a story artist on the Clone Wars. Never directed and was part of the directing team, but he did direct 12 episodes of Rebels, including the famous episode Jedi Knight. That's Knight with an N-I-G-H-T. I think we all know what happens in that one. And that's a amazing episode towards the end, and 6 episodes of Resistance season 1. So again,
everyone who does Star Wars is so busy.
Yeah,
I appreciate it so much. All of them do so much.
And there's more Resistance overlap. The character that we'll get to was played by Bobby Moynihan. In this episode, we'll get to which character. If you're thinking about the episode, you probably already know which one.
Oh, yeah,
the moral.
absolutely.
I can't believe I didn't realize that. Oh my
I know,
god!
I didn't even realize it either, but it makes so much sense. It really does.
You gotta check the credits at the end.
You gotta watch those 5-minute credits.
No, not all. Well, not all. Well, do you want to know who did them in Spanish? I got it. Okay.
I do.
The moral: there is no path before you. Let me try that again. If there is no path before you, create your own. Matt Romano, thoughts on that moral?
I mean, that's it immediately is almost like one of my favorite morals. It's great. And also it's like that's Ahsoka's whole story in a nutshell. Like this is exactly like that. If you're setting up where Ahsoka goes from here, like that's the perfect way to encapsulate it, I feel.
Caitlin Bush, do you agree?
Yeah. She's taking her destiny into her own hands, and she's moving forward in the best way that she can. This isn't what she planned for her life at all, but life is messy, and Ahsoka knows that better than anyone.
Yeah.
No one told her life was gonna be this way. Her job's a joke. She's broke. Lux is DOA.
Jedi Life's DOA.
Yeah, that's. Always the music again. And she's just playing a fountain for the rest of the arc. Okay, that's like, oh man, the standards have gone down.
Really,
anyway,
we've gone quite mad.
Yeah, the episode
it's
itself.
only been a week.
It's only been a week. It's going to get so much worse. It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years.
Betrayal is the first word in the episode.
Yes.
The recap covers all of the events. It was so weird getting a recap for the wrong Jedi because I'm like, this was so many years ago.
So
this is
long ago.
We were different people back then.
I mean, granted, I watched this episode for the first time like a month ago.
Yeah. But even look at what's happened in a month.
I know.
But still, I mean, I was a wee lad.
A wee burn, as they say.
A wee burn.
We're not going back to Boogie Woogie Ooga Boy with the Outlander reference, which I cut off Caitlin going there last week, but that's
we
totally
have to have an Outlander reference every single week. This is a requirement.
Yeah.
That is where you were going, though. It's the Bad Batch was turning into Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Bugle Boy.
That scene, yeah.
That's exactly it.
If you want more on that whole scene, there's an article about it on SYFY WIRE written by,
great.
I think, me. Anyway.
You did write it.
Man, I'm sorry.
I edited it.
Oh, that's right. See, it's a whole wonderful thing you got here. So it was really weird seeing the recap to this because it was. And it picks up right after it. And then we cut to Ahsoka riding a speeder bike on Coruscant, and the Force theme kicks in, and it was so good to have her back. But not only have her back, but we got season 7 animation style Ahsoka, and on Coruscant. And as she descends into the lower levels, her bike spazzing out, it was pretty clear right off the bat. It's like, okay, no, this is season 7 animation now. So we're back, but we're back with a huge upgrade. And the whole
Coruscant
opening of this
has never looked better. It's beautiful.
Oh my god! And I wrote
even the lower levels.
And the assets. Usually, because I always think back to Lightsaber Lost, where everyone on the street was either an Ithorian or a Rodian. We've covered this before, but now you go and there's all kinds of assets. There's things in the background of every shape and size or whatever. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, her bike starts. Technology. Try it today. Her bike starts spazzing out, and she's in a jumpsuit now with a satchel. I don't know where she got that jumpsuit, but there's a place, I guess. At one point down, she thinks the bike is okay, and then it breaks down again. She gives a really loud. It's from a distance. She goes, "Oh, come on!" And it's really funny, and it looks like she's okay, and then it's not. And then I had major Attack of the Clones speeder chase vibes here. Did you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of the music and everything else, it's probably intentional.
Well, and there's so many. I noticed this is in the beginning, and it's throughout the episode. There are so many of like the classic Star Wars soundtrack kind of written through everything, and I love all of the comparisons that we get in this episode. There's so many Luke vibes from Ahsoka. She even has she has a "what a piece of junk" line. her story lines up very well with Anakin this time, with Luke this time.
And she has a another moment too that we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, the music plays a big part, and Kyner's just breaking out the so many classic themes now, as well as some new beautiful ones of his own. But he's the Force theme pops up a couple times, and it's
well, so glad you mentioned the soundtracks before too. Like, I hope they release this one. I know it has classic Star Wars themes.
I think we're gonna, if they did Bad Batch, I think we're gonna get, we'll get the next 4 for this arc, and then we'll get
Ahsoka the Mechanic,
Siege of Ahsoka the Mechanic, which is kind of, I don't know if we can call it that anymore.
I mean, it's stuck with me, honestly. It's all I can think about whenever I was watching this. You've ruined it.
That's what it is.
She's dressed like a mechanic, though. Like, when she changes her clothes. I mean,
and she does do some mechanic work.
Sure. She does.
Well, I mean, speaking of the mechanic, she crashes the bike right in front of a mechanic standing in front of her mechanic shop. We meet Trace Martez, played by Brigitte Kali, who says the bike is junk, but her moves are good, and Ahsoka agrees, and she says she shouldn't have bought the bike. Ahsoka is very wary of Trace right from the start, and we can see, this is someone who just came off of hellacious betrayal. So Trace works in a repair shop, which happens to be directly behind them, and says they are indeed on level 1313, which is fun because hearing 1313 again, that's what that abandoned live action series and game from years ago when Lucas was still before the sale to Disney, and they were still before there was a sequel trilogy. There was going to be a live action Star Wars on TV, and they had so many scripts for it written and everything else, and the working title or something was going to be 1313 or Underworld or something. It was all going to take place all on level 1313. Like, that was
and there was going to be the show and the game. Like, this was about to be like the next
show,
big step for
game,
Star Wars.
The roller coaster, the flamethrower. It was going to be everything with 1313. But it's still, so that kind of lives on in this. And something about the lower depths of Coruscant is just so cyberpunky without going full Blade Runner. It's Star Wars cyberpunk, which it just works for me. It's very Attack of the Clones kind of made it happen, and this just feels it out. It still feels very Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
It's
one of the most interesting places in the galaxy for me, personally.
Yeah, it's like a good place to visit. I wouldn't want to, live there indefinitely, or live right out of quarantine down there.
Well, I mean, immediately, this is one of those places that, like you said, Matt, it's so expansive. Like, there are endless possibilities here. When we talk about those moments where, and Brian, you talk about it a lot, where there's moments in even just the Clone Wars where you hear like one little thing and you're like, oh, that spins off a whole bunch of other stories.
Yes.
Talk about a place that is the embodiment of that. There are so many stories that could happen here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's literally Battle of Tanab, the place.
Yeah.
It's because, what's that? It's like you see like tales from Jabba's palace, tales from the cantina, tales from Maz Kanata's castle. It's so many. There's so many stories on 1313. Here's one of them.
1313 is a Star Wars story.
Yeah. So that's
and as we've seen in like the Mandalorian and even like Clone Wars, it's like it's the ground level Star Wars stories are like that are super fascinating because you have all these grandiose stories with the Skywalker saga and whatever, but it's like what's life like for average people?
What's life like for the mechanics?
Exactly.
For the little people.
For the
Let's not
sisters.
forget about the people, guys.
Let's not forget about the people. What about the people? Anyway, so Trace offers to fix the bike, but Ahsoka says she can do it herself. She just needs some tools. Trace says, okay, but despite Ahsoka's lack of credits, Ahsoka's not got a lot of money here. She didn't do enough Padawan babysitting, so she's not running really well on the credits. And then she has this line. She says, hey, why are you helping me? And Trey says, shouldn't I? Seemed like the right thing to do. Which is interesting.
You're like, I like you.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, we like Trace a lot. And this harkens back to something Ashley was telling us, the line from the trailer that is not in this episode. I think it's a little early for that line. But I think we can expect it in this arc because this episode is all about somebody needs help, you help them. And that's where I think Ahsoka is very wary here. And I think by the end of this arc, we'll get her to that place.
We'll get her back to where she always has been.
Yeah.
She's on a healing journey right now.
On this new path, right just in time for Anakin the Jedi to say, oh, actually, we need your help. Could
By
you
the way.
go to this planet we royally effed up and fix everything? Here's some clones. Thanks.
Sorry.
Bye.
And can you
Bye.
fight Darth Maul? Can you really?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he's annoying. Can you just like
We're kinda
deal with him?
scared. Can you
we
take
don't
care of
wanna
us?
do it. And like, here's just go, just do it.
I took off his legs. It's weird. I'm Obi-Wan now. I'm being
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. Yeah.
He's a political idealist, not a murderer. Well, actually, he is a murderer, you Syrian idiot. Anyway,
He is a murderer, actually.
yeah.
It's great.
Moron. Kiadi moron. Okay, so Ahsoka is so wary. She's so wary, but she goes with it. She's in the shop. She's working on her bike. Trace is working on a Nebula-class freighter, and Ahsoka needs a sparker for her bike. But she can't pay, so she's wary of this whole thing and just wants out, and Trace just doesn't get it. We then have this beauty shot of Ahsoka standing in front of the shaft leading up to Coruscant proper, and she's staring up there almost kind of at the stars as the music plays, and it really struck me as a Twin Sons moment.
Yeah, and we get some of that classic theme in
some of that
there, and
comes
it's really
in.
just, it pulls at your heartstrings.
It's a total Twin Sons moment, embarking on a new life. It was also, I also thought of Broom Boy at the end of Last Jedi, which I think is another Twin Sons moment. And it's,
Yes.
and as I always say, you're dreaming of wondering what it's going to be like, but also what's the cost going to be? There's always a cost after this moment.
And Ahsoka knows what the cost is. I think this is kind of the first time that we are getting a, like you said, Twin Sons moment. It's larger than life. It's larger than one individual.
Yeah.
And then, rather than wondering what can be, she's just thinking about what has been,
Right.
where she's coming from. And that's an unusual thing in Star Wars, I think. Normally it's looking forward, it's having hope. And then all of a sudden we're reminded of all of these horrible things that have happened to her. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's quite literal because she's been kicked to the bottom and she's looking up like the hole she just fell in, in a way. It's like, remember when I was up there? When I was up there. And, and now it's look how far we've fallen. There's no path back up, so she has to make her own. And it's just a beautiful moment. It's my favorite moment in the episode. I'll just say it.
It's great. No, I agree. I
thought it was good.
Like I said, pulls at the heartstrings.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, while she was out there having her moment, Trace has fixed her bike. And she says, no sense in keeping you here if you're going to be miserable, which is something Matt says to me all the time.
All the time.
Trace, and she does it on the house. It's for free. Ahsoka has to now hide her identity when things are getting real. This was interesting. Trace refers to the Jedi running around starting wars, and Ahsoka corrects her. She says, the Jedi didn't start the war. They're trying to stop it. And so I immediately thought, well, the propaganda is working still. Those damn hollow billboards. The propaganda. The Jedi did not start the Clone Wars. It's like those freaking billboards are still, even
still
down
going.
there, they're still working. The Zillow Beast didn't get them all. So we gotta bring them back. Because of the war, the Jedi aren't down there anymore. They're not, supposed to be peacekeepers. They're not peacekeepers. So we see those idiot police robot droids pretty much are worthless. We've seen. Yeah. It's not safe. And Trace has said that she's heard stories, but the Jedi are not what she thought they'd be. And I thought, wow, she watched the original trilogy and then watched the prequels.
And then
she's like, the Jedi are not what I thought they'd be.
Well, and then maybe she can go hang out with Luke on his island.
Yeah. She's just looking at a picture of Ki-Adi-Mundi and she's like, the Jedi are not what I thought they'd be.
The original king of social distancing.
Exactly. Well done.
I can't take credit for it. Mark Hamill said it first on Twitter. So
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Okay, well, credit where credit is due. So Trace is done with all this. That's why she's working on a ship to get away with her sister Rafa. And then we get the arrival of Pintu. This is Bobby Moynihan. And he's who you fans will remember from Star Wars Resistance, as well as the first of the Matt the Radar Technician sketches. And he's come looking for money. Trace wants Ahsoka to stay out of it, and then she takes one of those metal pipes to Pinto's thugs, and she does okay. And then on second, they get the upper hand. On second thought, she says some help would be great. And so Ahsoka intervenes, and there's this awesome action moment of she stops a thug's punch with one hand.
And then just very calmly
There's the calm on her face is incredible.
Yep.
And then she royally kicks their asses in fantastic season 7 animated fashion. No force powers needed. She just beats the crap out of them. And she says, I think you want to leave now. And Trace asks where she learned that. Ahsoka says,
my older brother taught me.
Which, that was a Caitlin Screams moment right there.
Was it?
That was really nice.
I made an audible noise.
Yeah. It's like, where'd you learn that? It's like, from the one person that didn't betray me. Yeah. It's like, so Padme? Oh, no, the other one.
From my oldest friend, my older brother.
Yeah.
My heart.
And it's
Thanks.
like,
it's fine. I'm fine.
He's like my brother. Sorry, it's so much better when you do it, Brian.
That's okay. It's like, I'll do it.
It's like my brother.
There we go.
That's good.
They all go to see her sister Rafa, Elizabeth Rodriguez, who is stealing from what looks like a laundromat. This is a laundromat down on 1313.
That's actually, I wrote that down as one of my favorite part of the episodes. I love the, just daily life in Star Wars. There's laundromats. Of course there are.
Star Wars versions of
that's showing a shirt with Aurebesh instructions that's like, don't put it in here and stuff like. And so I was like, she's robbing this place. I'm like, no, it's her front. So she owns. They also run a mechanic. What do the Martez? What other businesses do the Martez sisters have? I'm surprised they don't have a Spotchka distillery running in.
I was going to say, and then there's probably like a restaurant somewhere.
I mean, that's true. They've got their fingers in a number of pies.
A lot of stuff. Yep.
They got a Jogan
Much
fruit
like
stand. Melu run something. I don't know. Anyway, so we're in this laundromat. She's got a fur coat and she's got some a cool hairstyle. So I like her despite her generally being morally dubious.
She's a cool looking person.
And one of the first things she says is she's got a big job coming through. Like, oh God. It's
honestly,
like
the Star Wars lines that are just, I mean, this is what I mean too, when this Ahsoka's story right now lines up so much with Luke. It's a piece of junk thing that she's got. Then she meets her Han Solo of the universe kind of thing, where she's just like, all right, I'm going to have to deal with you guys now, aren't I?
I got a nice, easy charter. It's going to be fine. And so that's these are really like kind of the Han Solo sisters.
The Han and Chewbacca. Han and Chewbacca here.
Absolutely. And these sisters can't count on anyone but themselves. Rafa then, to drive that home a little further, Rafa then calls her sister a moof milker. So I think that's the first time we're hearing that term in animation, because we've definitely heard it famously from Harrison Ford in Force Awakens. And I'm always amazed that they got him to say that. Yeah. It's like, and it's, I don't say moof milker. You can type this, but you can't. I don't want to say this. I want to change it. And I want to fly this plane. He's never coming on the show. Like that was a chance. Like that was ever in the cards.
That was
Ford,
it.
Come on,
like,
come on.
If there was ever a chance, it's over now.
Yeah, remotely call in. I can't wait for ND5, Harrison. I really can't. I love it. Anyway, and he also says it in Solo. Alden Ehrenreich says it in Solo. Make Solo 2 happen. A Twi'lek comes in and he's looking for droids. Rafa tells him that this is a laundromat.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
But she should. It's droids. This is a Wendy's. I don't know what you're talking about. Would you like a Frosty? Also, aren't you supposed to be at home anyway? No, but the laundromat is a front for droid building. It's all bull. Yeah. Rafa then asks Trace if she feels like building some droids. Trace and Ahsoka get on it. Ahsoka making sure to be vigilant about restraining bolts on these droids, and she says she's had some run-in with droids, and I'm like, you ain't kidding.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, she's had 5.5 seasons of nothing but run-ins with droids and the occasional tarantula man. Although I don't think she ever goes up against him, but
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's. I don't think she's missing out. The fun thing about these droids are binary load lifters, which is fun because it's one of in the very first film, 3PO refers to. He says, talking to Uncle Owen, he says, one of my first jobs was programming binary load lifters, very similar to evaporators in most respects. And so I'm like, that was cool. I don't think we've ever seen them before.
Guys, there's so many original series callbacks here.
Yeah. Who among us hasn't ever wanted, like, dreamed of finally seeing a binary load lifter. Caitlin, I know sometimes
I have.
you message me all the time. Sometimes at like 4 a.m. It's like, when is it going to happen?
Brian, when am I going to get my chance?
When am I going to get my binary load lifter?
This is a great opportunity for me to introduce you guys to my fanfic, actually. It involves
Nothing
Tambor.
good ever started with that line.
No. Continue your thought, Matt.
but
Don't be shy.
proceed.
It involves Wat Tambor, the Techno Union, binary,
Load
This is
lifter?
half thought
Load
out.
lifters.
This is half thought out. This doesn't exist. You were in trouble 3 words into that. All right. Anyway,
Moving on.
but in a lot of ways, yeah, you're absolutely right though, saying this is kind of like A New Hope, but with Ahsoka in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It's like in a completely different way. We're in the bottom underground of a city and not a desert, but it's very, very similar in a lot of ways. You're absolutely
Rock
right about
bottom,
that.
if you will.
Yeah, it's there's literally nowhere to go but up. The droids come online and one attacks. Ahsoka shuts it down, says the Type 2 were a fraud, and these are repurposed demo droids. And Trace didn't put the bolt on one of them, so we cut to Rafa on the street. Lothcat goes running by. It's the first time we're seeing them on Clone Wars. They've got them in here because we've seen the famous on Rebels all over the place, and we saw one in episode 4 of Mandalorian. And now Lothcats. Welcome to Clone Wars.
They're so cute.
The droid, out of control, runs past her with Trace and Ahsoka in pursuit. Ahsoka goes back to get a tracker while Trace naps a speeder, and they're on it, and they grab it, and Trace manages to shut it down, but then they go falling down the shaft, and Trace with it. Ahsoka almost has it with cables and such, and it's a little Jurassic Park Lost World moment here, I thought, with this.
Ooh, good reference.
A lot of good action scenes.
Yeah, she almost has it, and then it's not working, so she has no choice but to what? She force lifts it back up and saving Trace. And I don't know about you, Caitlin, but I immediately thought Jean Valjean breaking his cover and saving the guy under the runaway cart.
Exactly.
And
See, you and I, here.
This is what has happened. And we cut over, and Russell Crowe was like, I knew it. You were there. And the interesting thing is, and the Force theme plays, a Twi'lek kid watches her in wonder, and then nobody asks her about it for the rest of the episode. Nobody says, what was with that Force
thing
move? It's like no one says anything about it. Maybe they will next week, but...
So then I wonder how many just random Force users who were never found by the Jedi, who were never recruited, are just hanging out in the lower levels of Coruscant.
Yeah,
is there like a whole movement? Now I want a show about it. Is there just like a whole gang of Force users
that
are hanging out in Coruscant?
Yeah, there's just one guy in the center of the frame is like, yeah, I could have done that. I just didn't want to. Anyway, more of this.
I went to a SUNY school.
Just so you know, it has no bearing on what just happened. They just want you to know I'm a SUNY man. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Where did that... I don't know. I'm not one to talk. Anyway, so it's weird that nobody mentions it, but okay, I love that moment. Rafa isn't happy, and she's going to keep the droids. Ahsoka and Trace go to a wharf, which is on a little cantina area. Like it's like Venice, but if Venice was in a sewer. It's like, I don't want to know what's in this water down here. Another Lothcat jumps on their table while they're eating something from a tray. Rafa
Dave Filoni's
says,
like, oh, the Lothcats.
Yeah, she's like, put them in everywhere. Put them anywhere you can get. We have a little spacer, which we do Lothcat. Just do it. So we find out that Rafa is Trace's older sister. Trace thinks she's trying to make things better for them, and Ahsoka asks, well, at what cost? Always an interesting question. Rafa then shows up. She says she sold the droids back to the Twi'lek and used the credits to pay off Pintu. Thankfully, thank God Pintu got his money. But she has enough left over to buy some new tools. Ahsoka goes to finish her speeder, and Trace is going to help her. And the nice new Ahsoka, what I'm assuming is a new Ahsoka theme, Ahsoka's next step, or whatever. I'm assuming it's a theme for her, but it's really nice, and it's been introduced in this episode. That plays, and the end. So for the Martez sisters, cannon, charge, and fire. For the return of Ahsoka Tano, fire. For binary load lifters finally being seen, fire. And because I never thought the day would come when we'd actually see Clone Wars era Ahsoka again. I thought we'd see her again, but not in this era and not in this style and not in this time period. Just for the heck of it, just for the criff of it. Mind blown. In general, I just have to say it again. The season 7 animation is just blew me away in terms of the lower depths of Coruscant and Ahsoka's facial expressions. While twiddled my dice there. The dice are still here, guys. Don't worry. They're just
thank God.
Yeah. Whew. I know everyone's like, well, God, I was worried.
I can see Matt's Mando. And we can occasionally see my Porg, but
we're trying.
Now you have an R2.
We're doing our best. Anyway, but who made that metagunner? I did, sir. He's my cousin. Sorry.
I'm surrounded by ass. Sorry.
No, I know that. What's his name? Anyway, Gunners made first class Philip. Okay. Ahsoka's facial expressions also a huge upgrade and just wonderful.
That's so good.
And so I can't wait for the rest of this arc and to see where this is going, because so much of the trailers and what we've seen in a lot of them from the Ahsoka the Mechanic arc, we've already seen. We saw like the speeder bike and her falling and that, and the introduction of the Martez sisters. But aside from that, I really don't know where this arc is going. So it's exciting. We already found the Screams moment. Any other favorite moments from you guys that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we touched on all. I mean, I think I just would like to applaud the people of Coruscant. I think those are the who stole the show for me. All those background aliens and weirdness in Coruscant was my favorite.
Yes.
Just like pausing and being
potential.
like, what's that? You know?
Yeah. There's always something. I can't wait to watch it again because there's always something to look at.
Yeah.
There's going to be like some shady deal going down in the background. There's going to be like a couple making out on the street. There's going to be like children setting a fire in the background. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people smoking death sticks, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Which again, do you smoke death sticks? Is that a thing?
We still don't really know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
I still think of them as kind of like space cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although they've never actually said, but I want to know. I want Death Sticks, the series. 1,000
Death
episodes.
Sticks, a Star Wars story.
I would love a death stick right now.
I would like it to be released tomorrow in full. So start working.
Sounds fun.
Yeah,
Spotchka is just a gateway.
Spotchka is the gateway to Death Sticks. Yeah.
I'm worse than you are. I brought it up this time. I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyway, sommelier pairing with this episode. If we're talking Ahsoka and we're talking lower depths and everything, lightsaber lost from season 2. It's a great Ahsoka episode. It's early on, and this is good so you can see how far they've come. So you want to see the lower depths of Coruscant in early days where it still looked really good, but then once you watch this, it's like, wow, what a seismic leap. But aside from that, it's also just a wonderful episode with Ahsoka and the Jedi Terra Sinube, who I love so very much. Final thoughts, Matt Romano.
Great episode. Excited to kick off another arc. Ashley is the best. Ahsoka Tano forever. She's just the best. I mean, being Ahsoka, as she was telling us personally, being Ahsoka. Friend of Jabba the Pod. Ahsoka
Friend
Tano.
of Jabba the Pod, Ashley Eckstein says, being Ahsoka. Oh, wow, I'm so obnoxious. Final thoughts, Caitlin Bush.
I am so happy for Ahsoka to be back. She is, as we all know, one of the best Star Wars characters of all time. She is one of the most complicated Star Wars characters of all time, and it feels like a nice hug during the middle of all of this chaos that's going on in the world right now to have this character back in our lives.
Yeah,
well
it's
said.
Good. It's very well said. As much as I love and adored the Bad Batch, and I did, it's just so nice to have Ahsoka back, and we need her right now. Again, as Ashley said, but she's the hero we need. I don't know if she's the hero.
That we do not deserve.
No, we do not deserve, but we're getting anyway, and we're lucky to have her. Well, with that, we're going to go to break, but we'll be right back with so much more. So stay right there.
Cool.
We're back, and now it's time to look at some galactic points of interest.
Good news has come to the citizens of Lothal.
Comics that came out this past week, Star Wars #4, and continuing the return to Cloud City, and not so much a spoiler, but this was something cool. You know how in Empire Strikes Back, they just leave and you think Luke's X-Wing is just there like forever now?
Yep.
He gets it back. And when they fly off, he flies back in that X-Wing. So the X-Wing we see him in Return of the Jedi, theoretically, is that same X-Wing.
Interesting.
We could believe the one that I forget exactly if it ever blows up in the comics between Star Wars and Empire. I don't think so. So it could be still the Trench Run X-Wing, as well as the one that's under the water in Octo and everything that gets lifted, the Red 5 one that Rey ends up using in Rise of Skywalker. It could still be the same X-Wing.
Wow,
So
That
that's
X-Wing has seen everything.
Yeah, I never noticed that before, but he leaves the X-Wing on Cloud City and then he has it again. So
and then he just has another one. So it's and there's a whole it's a really interesting issue all around. There's Leia learns about carbon freezing and Lando learns some lessons. It's a fun issue all around. Also, Rise of Skywalker, we've already mentioned, just came out way early, but is already supposed to be out now. The documentary, the 2-hour documentary, is full of so many wonderful revelations and everything, and we'll get into that in a later episode. There's a couple of new behind-the-scenes heroes.
And I will say, too, we at SYFY WIRE, we're going to have an interview with the director of that documentary soon. So look out for that.
We'll be on the lookout for that. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, Eunice, there's no way you're listening or watching, but you're my hero. We'll talk more about Eunice later on. But also the novel is also out, the novelization, and there's a lot of things that are left out or whatever that fleshed out. We kind of touched on it before as saying the movie is limited as to what they could do with Leia. The book is not. So in terms of Luke's teaching of Leia, we get a lot more of that scene, and it's really cool of that flashback where Luke is just kind of stunned at some things that Leia does. She's floating and she's doing this stuff, and he's like, don't get me wrong, your footwork is terrible and you have some stuff to learn, but other things you just do, I could never do, and you just do them naturally. He's like, I don't know what this is. And I immediately think it's like, I bet he couldn't float through space like she did. Or maybe he can, I don't know.
Because Leia's the coolest mofo out here.
Yeah, I just love that there's some things that she just learns to do like immediately, and there's no question that there is another is definitely her. And that's going to take us to, if you have listened to our bonus episodes, you know that Caitlin gave Matt and I a little challenge. It's the Caitlin's Crazy Canon Challenge, and her Caitlin, what was your challenge again? Tell you lead this.
Yes. So my challenge to both my lovely co-hosts Brian and Matt were to find the strangest, most unnecessary but very cool, weird, what have you entry on Wikipedia, which is the Star Wars fandom.com Wikipedia, basically.
Right.
If you're a Star Wars fan, you likely have looked at it many times, maybe fallen down a rabbit hole or two, because it's very easy. And so I challenged them to find the weirdest thing that they possibly could and bring it to the show today, just for a little bit of fun. So, Brian, what do you have for me?
I was going to say beauty before brains. And go
I don't know, because I think Brian's going to win regardless.
Okay, Matt,
so
do you
I
wanna,
should go first.
Matt,
There's
you
no
should go
question,
first.
Matt,
Okay.
but-
Yeah, because I will ultimately be a dud, I think.
Okay.
Because
All
let me
right.
just say this. Let me preface it with this.
Okay.
The new canon established post-Disney isn't actually... I mean, it's weird, but it's
Right.
not like I had trouble finding like the really weird stuff. Every time I
Right.
found something extremely weird,
then you're not
It was
looking
legend.
hard enough.
And,
I
and
mean-
I will preface too, it was a thing we decided that we were going to try to stick to canon as much as possible. Because
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you are familiar with Wikipedia, you know that there is a canon tab, and then if you click over to the legends tab, there is at least always like 20 times as much information.
so much more.
Yeah,
it is
there's
insane. It is
years
impressive
and
as
years
hell.
and years of weirdness there, and
Yes.
that's in no way we can do. I mean, we can do that too at some point. But Matt, you were saying before we started recording that you completely shagged the rules and did your own thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, I have my Disney canon, and then I also have my fun
Right.
non-Disney canon.
Okay, so Matt.
Okay, so my canon thing, I want to talk about Dexter Jetster. Okay.
Yes.
So like, we all.
Obi-Wan.
There we go.
Camino Saber Dart. It's been a million years since I've
knew
seen
you had one of
these on
those.
Subterrell. Can I use your vac tube? No.
No, you can't use my vac tube.
It's broken, isn't it? Yeah, it's broken. Use the laundromat down the street. Theirs is really good. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue, Matt.
That's right. No, so he's the owner of Dex's Diner that is seen in Attack of the Clones. Obi-Wan visits there, and that's where he gets the dart and all that stuff. So I learned that he's known for making the best Nerf burgers in the galaxy.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
And originally, that's how Obi-Wan became friends with him, because Obi-Wan used to go there for the burgers. Obi-Wan was just into the diner.
This makes me so happy.
What story is this from?
This is from Wikipedia.
Yeah, but where does this appear? What story does this appear in?
So before the Clone Wars, Dex's Diner was known to have the best Nerf burgers ever, and people from all over the galaxy traveled to Coruscant to eat at Dex's. And then, unfortunately, not all of Jester's clientele were trustworthy as he was. He had a bunch of thieves come in and steal him, and Obi-Wan was just a friend. He just went to the diner, and they first bonded over Obi-Wan helping Dex get rid of these criminals.
That's amazing. I feel like this is from a visual dictionary kind of thing,
Yeah, it's not very clear. Maybe I'm making up the fact that
they
Obi-Wan
do have
just
sources,
the burgers, but I think
where
that's
they
what it
cite
is.
their sources, just like regular Wikipedia.
Yeah,
if you want to take the extra step.
I mean, I don't, but
okay, fair enough. Okay. That wasn't part of the rules. That's fine. I like that because we know now that thanks to the comics that Nerfs are an actual animal that can get herded in Star Wars and apparently also make burgers out of.
And I think
wanna try a Nerf
all
burger.
Star Wars food just looks delicious to me, so I really would like to try a Nerf burger.
And having been to Black Spire, it tastes good too.
You had a Nerf burger?
No, but I've had. I don't think they sell them yet.
No, he's a dirty
You said that
liar.
with such enthusiasm and perked up. I was like, "You had a Nerf burger?" It was like instant perk up.
I was going to say, Disney,
that's not
that
on
is
the
a
menu
great
yet, but
synergy.
I forget what I had, but it was good. Is that your entry, Matt?
That's my entry. I also have my other crazy one, but that's it.
Okay.
I'll save it for another
Because
time.
the other
All
one
right.
is not canon. Okay, here's.
Brian.
I got him.
Here we go.
Oh boy, here we go. He's going to have something amazing.
He's going to have something really good. He has his phone out.
This actually ties into the Bad Batch arc in an interesting way.
Of course it does.
This is some canon coming from my beloved Dr. Aphra comic.
Okay.
And it ties into she traveled once to Skako Minor. So that the planet was in the comic before the thing ever happened, and I never even realized it. So we already had a canon connection right there. But Aphra and 000 go there to raid the personal workshop of Wat Tambor and the Techno Union, so it ties in there as well. Thinking the Empire was unaware of the location, 000 hired a local to lead Aphra and the others to it. Aphra had a little trick up her sleeve, though. She carries around a tuka. You guys know that they have the dolls of the tuka. The kids have, it's like two horns. It's like a little, it's
yes.
similar to a Lothcat or whatever. She has an actual tuka that she cloned that's name is Fluffdo. And she's carrying this around, and we think it's cool. But unbeknownst to everyone, one of her modifications to Fluffdo was that if she says a certain code phrase, it explodes. And the code phrase is snuggle bum, oogie woogie. And she uses it to get out of a scrape. When she says it, Fluffdo explodes and kills a whole bunch of Imperials.
Wait. So it does explode?
Yes, she says it, and the tuka explodes. Snuggle bum, oogie woogie.
Okay, that's weird.
Okay.
Snuggle bum, oogie woogie, bugle boy.
That's good. That's really good.
So, Caitlin, who wins?
I have to give it to Brian. Matt, I'm sorry. You're right.
Well, you know what? I'd like to hear what the listeners have to say, so please add us on Twitter and let us know what you think is weirder, Nerf burgers or exploding cats.
That works.
Tukas, Matt. It was a tuka. It was a Fluffdo, and she made many, and she made more of them.
Okay.
And also chime in with your own weird entries.
Yeah, if you have
Yeah.
a weird one, it's like spend some time and definitely add us. At us, if you will.
We've all got plenty of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing but time. Now it's time to spend a little time in a place I like to call Captain's Corner.
I haven't had my muffin yet, Matt.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Captain's Corner. So nothing too crazy to report today. I think I'm just going to use my time to give an extra plug to our amazing bonus episodes and to applaud my co-hosts here for just conducting great interviews with Ashley and Matt Lanter this week. And like you guys alluded to earlier in the show, more to come soon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. There may be an announcement that I'm going to make shortly. We'll see.
Lovely.
So, yeah, it's been a nice
you,
little... Yeah, thank you. No, thank you guys. Do you like how I plugged my segment that I didn't prepare for with just you know...
Just love. Just
love for you guys.
Why start now? And that will take us to Caitlin's word of the week.
The word of the week is betrayal.
No!
Betrayal. On our
So
Nexus.
foul.
No, not really.
On our Nexus.
That was a good word of the week.
Thank you.
And that's going to take us to Real Talk.
I'm looking forward to having some real talk with some real folks.
Okay, comment on iTunes, CRLHOP. I don't know if that's Control Hop or what, but it's cool. Writes, more episodes, please. We are working on it.
We're cranking them out now.
We're working on it.
And they say, also, playing Fallen Order after hearing you all talk about it, it has helped pass the time while social distancing. Jump, sigh. I feel you. That is pretty much how I go. Jump, fall. It's like wall jump, double jump, force grab the rope, then fall and die. That's usually how I go. So thank you for that comment. And yeah, it's a good time for Star Wars gaming. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you haven't gone on Battlefront 2 in a while, get back on there and check it out because they've added a lot of new modes and it is much more fun than it was the last time I played it.
Nice.
It is so much more fun now. You can play as a group against AI opponents, so I generally live longer. So that's nice for me.
And didn't they add like BB-8 as a playable character?
Yeah,
that was a while ago, probably.
I was playing as Darth Maul and BB-8 killed me. So, and as I told Matt Lanter, I was trying to play as Anakin, and a battle droid shot him in the head. So it's, I'm actually pretty good with Rey. I had a good streak with Rey a couple days ago. Anyway, on the whole, very nice comments all around on the bonus episodes, and people saying that this is obviously a rough time, and everyone is having a lot of fear, and so everyone appreciates a little break from news. I think in real life news, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think. Obviously, it's like this is a scary time. It's like, is a goofy show like this about a fictitious world necessary? Probably not. But it's keeping me sane a little bit, and the lessons that we're talking about and everything are highly applicable to what's going on right now. And so if it brightens your day for 45 minutes or an hour, or makes you so mad that you forget about being mad about other things, so be it.
Exactly.
So we're here for you, and we're not going anywhere. But we really thank you for the nice comments. With that, we are going to toss this episode to the living force. But join us next week for the 6th episode of Season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where we'll be breaking down the new episode, and we'll also cover everything and anything else going on in the galaxy far, far away.
You're listening to my Sky Guy Brian and my Sky Girl Caitlin on Jabba the Pod podcast.
We'll also, as has already been alluded to several times, have more special bonus episodes coming next week, so be on the lookout for another one on Monday the 23rd. Who could be calling in this time? This might give us a hint.
Matt Romano, your name reflects failure.
What?
Who do you think it is, Matt?
Wait a minute. Are you... Wow. Whoa. Was that a real recording?
Yeah.
Was that your voice?
Who do you think we're getting on Monday?
I think I have a good idea who we're interviewing Monday now.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited.
We had the conversation yesterday, and it was fantastic. I'll just say Sam Witwer. Sam Witwer, the voice of Maul and the son of Mortis. We will have the bonus episode with him on Monday, and that is not all. We will have another bonus. That one we're going to keep a surprise, but that is coming up next week as well as our regular show on Friday. You want more episodes? You got it.
Got him.
They're coming. Yeah.
In the meantime, feel free to reach out to us on social media if you so choose. Caitlin Bush, you can be found where?
I can be found at Caitlin M. Bush. That's Caitlin M. Bush, like the beer, not like the president's.
And Matt Romano, you can be found where after so much disarray?
So much disarray and such a big failure now that I heard Darth Maul say it himself. I mean, what is my handle? Oh, yeah, on Twitter, at Matt Romano, MattrOmano. Wow.
At SUNY.
At SUNY.edu.
And I could be found on Twitter at Brian Silliman. That's at BRIAN, S as in Sky Guy, ILLIMAN. Stretch out with your feelings and share your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Subscribe, leave a comment, and give 5 stars if you're feeling generous. Snoke 'em if you got 'em. Take it, Sheevy, and remember, hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night. This is the way we have spoken. The Force will be with you always. Hutslayer, if you would be so kind as to do your thing. This is Jabba the Pod. Thank you for watching. To subscribe, click here. For more videos, click here.